Yeah, what's up, guys? Jruzz here, and welcome to another episode of Jruzz Inspires podcast. And it's been a while. I took a break for quite some time because it got busy. So many things going on. But here we are today. We got a very special topic once again, especially because this is close to my heart. Because this is podcasting, right? And again, I've been waiting for this topic because I wanna. Yes, I have some viewers that really wants to learn podcasting, and they want to they want to have their own podcast, but they don't know where to start. They don't know how to start. So I think this is going to be a very, very helpful topic for those people. Yep. Okay, so guys, for today's guest, Paula, what's up?
Hi.
How are you? Welcome to the episode. Paula.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm very good.
It's been not a long time, but we chatted like a week ago. Just a backstory. I actually texted Paula because I was looking for podcasters to produce their podcast at home. So that's how we got to interact with each other. So how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm very good, and thank you so much for reaching out. And then I think once we started talking, we realized the conversation is just flowing.
Exactly.
Right?
And I wasn't even planning to do this podcast. When we had a Zoom call, and I was like, based on our conversation, I was like, why not come you over and then let's talk about this topic.
Can I just say, have you thought about working in radio? You are a natural, with everything you're doing,
really,
like the way you do the intro and just do it live. It sounds like you're doing it live. That's why I was like, oh my god, are we live now?
That's funny. The thing is, I wasn't like this. You should see my previous, my old videos. I remember back in the day, I used to I was the most silent person in the office.
Wow.
I was that person,
Wow.
And then I just trained myself, started talking. I built everything, my confidence, everything.
So now you are still silent when you're not on camera, right? And then the camera is on, then you kind of change into this.
Changed my character.
Really?
I think from being introvert to an extrovert now. I don't know how I did that, but a lot of my former managers, I invited them to this podcast, and they said the same thing, that I changed a lot.
But I've always been extrovert, right?
Okay.
But I think I've just learned to be extrovert really well because I've kind of realized, okay, I need to figure this social setup. Like, how do I deal with people? And then I've never been scared of people. So that kind of helped. So that's kind of with podcasts is the same. Like, I'm not scared of talking with people, right? But there's so many times I'm dreading an awkward social moment. Okay. The worst part is when there's talking, and all of a sudden no one knows the next topic, and everyone's like, oh. I've been in a situation where I'm in a cafe on my own, and I have right next to me people talking, and they all of a sudden don't have anything to talk about, and I'm just like, I have this embarrassment for them, and I'm like, oh my god, should I just jump in and give them topics to talk about?
Yeah, I think being extrovert has an advantage and disadvantage as well, right? I think you know what, I wrote this down, so I think we could go back to this in the episode, because I think I thought about a good question regarding this. Okay, but first of all, Paula, I want you to introduce yourself to my viewers, all the people out there. I know you have your own podcast as well, so might as well mention it as well. So go for it, Paula.
Okay. Well, my name is Paula, right? I'm a host of a podcast, Portraits by Paula Macneill.
I like that name.
I kind of wanted to sort of draw a portrait of a person, and not just what their identity is, what their occupation is, which usually is she's a doctor or he's a architect, but there's so much more to the person, and every time I have these conversations, I see, oh my god, there's such depth to everyone, but we used to see only the front kind of the cover of the book, so to speak, most of the time. So I kind of wanted to have these conversations, and it started after I've moved to Dubai 8 years ago. I had a very long corporate, not long, 6-7 years of corporate life. I actually loved it. But then I got married, I had kids, and I had to readjust what I'm going to do. Yeah. And then I was like, I really want to do a project that I feel passionate about. Okay. I studied media and communications, and then I worked in TV before. So I kind of was like, and I was like, that's why I said you're so good at live, because I used to be a live reporter from protests or parliament, and then they say 5, 4, 3, and you go, and I'm just just start talking. And so I actually loved it because it's very not polished. You talk like naturally. So whenever like now in the podcast, I feel like I have to be very polished and I have to write down a script and I have to like use a teleprompter or something like that. And I kind of like miss the live moments, which now when you started, I was like, oh my God, I love it. It's really cool. Anyway, so long story short, I was like, I need to have a project. I can't switch my mind off. I have a lot of things to do now as a mother, but I need to do something. And then I thought about podcast, and I was like, I love people's stories, especially in Dubai. Before podcast, we were talking about you've never met someone from Latvia, and that's a secret little thing for me with my guests, because in Dubai there's so many multicultural, multinational society that every time someone new I speak to, I'm just kind of like, oh, I love it. She's from Malaysia, or she's from Japan or something. And like, I'm from Latvia is such a small country that you kind of, when you're young, you don't even think that you'll be able to speak to a lot of people from everywhere and realize, oh my God, we're so similar, although we're like from so many, different places. Anyway, so that's in short. This is what I do now. I'm a mom of two. I'm happily married, and I'm doing my podcast. And I'm living in Dubai.
You know what gravitates me toward your account when I message you? Is the name itself.
Okay.
I thought, I actually, I thought that you actually have a photography background.
Oh, well.
Because of using portraits.
Yeah. No, I don't. No,
okay,
but I love art. So I think secretly I've always wanted to be an artist, but I don't have a talent in that. But I love, and so when I was thinking about a name, I was kind of like, I wanted it to sound something that I know I'm not going to get tired of.
Yeah.
Almost like a tattoo. You kind of feel like, oh, that could sound like very edgy and cool. But after like a while, it's just very cringy. And I was like, I need to do something that's a little bit over whatever is trending right now.
Yeah.
And then it just and in journalism, which I studied as well, the portrait interviews is usually like the long, deep interviews of someone. Okay. And then I was like, it kind of makes sense to call it portraits and try to get as deep as kind of well-rounded understanding of one person,
Yeah, I like this podcast that have very unique names. Like for example, like the Diary of the CEO. It's like,
I love
that's
it.
clever, And then that's the same feeling that I got from your name. I was like, I should have thought more of my podcast name.
I'm the same though. When I look at podcasts, and sometimes I go on ChatGPT and I'm like, what would be a good podcast name?
Oh my God.
Something edgy, but something cool, sophisticated. And then gives them like, not really. But I really love Call Her Daddy. Do you know that one? It's really popular in US.
God,
Call Her Daddy.
Oh
So it's like kind of like a celebrity. And it's girls, really cool, like really edgy. See Dario CVO, yes. And what else was there? There are a few. Well, Joe Rogan Experience, quite very clear. What else I was thinking? There are a few ones in Dubai. There's one called Balance Theory, which I love as well, which is interesting. But yeah. But thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Paula. So let's begin with the topic again. This topic is for aspiring podcasters out there. I want to call this episode "Podcasting for Dummies." I think I don't know, podcasting for dummies or podcasting 101. I think podcasting dummies is very catchy name. So again, if you're aspiring podcasters, or even you just want to learn, I don't know, maybe to learn how to speak in front of the camera or build your confidence, or just how to ask questions to anyone, this is the episode for you. Okay, so Paula, let's start with the questions, shall we?
Yep.
Are you good? Are
Let's
you ready?
do it.
All right. So, you kind of touched this question a little bit. I want you to dive deeper. So, you're podcasting. So, why did you start your podcast? Is there any deeper meaning or reason into it?
Yeah. So I wanted to have a project. First, I was thinking I'd love to do a business. Then I was like, every business idea I had was like, you needed like 4 million dirhams. And I was like, a little bit too much. I can't afford that. So I need to figure out what can I do. And then, you know what? I think I heard it somewhere as well. And I think it is every project that you do, you really need to ask questions about yourself. Why do I want to do it?
Yeah.
What kind of feeling will I get from it? Like what kind of fulfillment will I get? And so there's been so much soul searching before I got to the point where, I have to do this podcast because I've always loved it. And I remember before Dubai, when I worked for TV, I remember distinctly that I loved every morning waking up, going to work. And like, it's so rare because most people are like, oh, Monday, I need to go to work. I was like, right, let's go. I love it. And so even though in Dubai, I kind of had the same thing, but it was more like, okay, this is almost like a responsibility that I had to do. And then I was like, I want to have something similar that I had before. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to start. And then weirdly, with every other idea that I had, it was like blocking. It was not flowing. And I was like, it's like the business ideas, everything that I had was kind of like, no, not really. And then with the podcast, I just started Googling and everything kind of came at me. And I was like, oh, there's this company that can help with this. And then there's this person that can help with this. And all of a sudden, budget-wise, it kind of, okay, I can afford that. I can afford that. So a lot of it I did myself as much as I could. But then the podcast, the tech, all the, post-production, everything, I knew I need to ask someone for help.
Got it.
So why I started, that's why. And I kind of wanted, you know what? Another reason was I kind of wanted to connect with people more. Yeah. I felt like I had this bubble of people in Dubai, but I wanted to I knew that there's so many interesting people around, and I wanted to reach out and get to know them and understand, get their story, why did I started doing that? I have a really cool first guest story. Can I tell you?
Yeah, sure.
So I was renovating a house, and I was thinking of I don't even know people. How am I going to get guests? Okay, I have my yoga teacher. I'll ask her. And then I was thinking of one therapist because I really kind of liked her. And I was like, yeah, but that's it. I don't know people. And then I was renovating a house, and I wanted to ask a feng shui consultant to kind of see if everything's in the right direction, all of that. And I saw on Instagram, and it was one that has a lot of following, but very kind of, you looked at it and it was kind of very cold vibe, not cold, but just unapproachable. It felt for me. And then there was another lady who was just so quirky and talking and giving these daily tips about feng shui and everything. And I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. So I messaged her, said that I'm renovating a house. We had a call or something like that. And I was like, she is so passionate about what she's doing. And I was like, sorry, I'm about to start my podcast. Do you want to come on? You're just so chatty, so just passionate about you doing. I want to. And she's like, oh my God, it must be in SARS. Yes, of course I want. And she went on. And to be honest, then I had my yoga teacher, and then I had a therapist that I knew. Yeah. And after that, it just kind of took its own, of people started reaching out. All of a sudden, some people that came said, oh, I have this person. Why don't you I interviewed this guy who's a dad's, he has a dad's group, dad supports group here. Oh my God, amazing. Because most men are suffering quietly, and women lean on to each other more, and so anyways, a lot of awesome people that I've met since I've started.
That's good. Now for me, my turn.
I wanted to say, you've had 70 plus. How did you get so many people?
Okay, I'll tell you the story. So I've been in the industry for, let's say, 20 years. I've been a photographer, a filmmaker, for majority of the 2 decades, So, So, and then, I think 2019, I started my Instagram. So I started, I became from being behind the camera, I became more of a public figure. I don't know.
Can you tell me about that moment? Sorry, I'm taking over, but I'm really curious. You said you were introvert and then you were extrovert. How did you change your character? At what point you were I actually want to be in front of camera?
I think it's just my passion of learning. Evolving, which started from the very beginning. I used to be a street vendor. I've said that in every episode, but I used to be a street vendor here. I think I mentioned that.
You did.
Yeah. So again, I have this passion of improving myself. I never stop, to be honest.
Awesome.
From the street now to where I am today, I never stop. So from being behind the camera, being a photographer, filmmaker for more than a decade, I decided, why not? I don't know. I wanna try something new. I wanna build my social account, and also my business kind of suffering back in the day. So I wanna dive into social media. I wanna explore. So I started posting on Instagram, and eventually, people got inspired. I don't know. I was just taking pictures of the Burj Khalifa, the sunset, Burj Al Arab, and people got inspired. People, I don't know, started following me. They started also, doing photography. So I kind of started a revolution in photography environment, So that's 2019, and then after 5 years, I feel like people are being inspired to whatever I do. And the thing is, this is something that I think that I think it's something that gift from the guy above, that I just I was just doing something I do. I'm not trying so hard to inspire people. I was just basically doing what I do. And then, I just found out that people are just, getting inspired of everything of my stories, and then so when I was like, I want to level up myself. I want to learn more how to speak in front of the camera. Because Instagram, you post Instagram only very short videos, like 30 seconds, 1 minute. So I want to have a long form episode. I want to learn myself, improve myself, how to speak fluently for a long period of time. So why not start a podcast? So that's when basically started the idea of having a podcast.
And what did you buy all the tech and everything and just started? And also, like, how do you get so many people? Like 70 people already.
I think because I've already. The thing is, when I started my podcast, I already have, I think, like maybe 30,000 followers, almost 30,000 followers. So I've kind of built up my my connections. So I have my followers that they basically just reaching out to me. I had no issues inviting guests, to be honest. Like I remember the most guests that I filmed in one day. I remember, I think 4 episodes, 4 guests in one day. Could you imagine?
No, that's crazy.
That's crazy. And I was like, that was way too much, So that's why for the first year, I produced maybe 50 episodes,
50.
So, and I'm in 1.5 year now, 70 episodes. So yeah, I mean, it's quite overwhelming, but I love it.
But what is that? Do you have any, how do I say it? Do you have any points or reasons why you invite certain people? Is there has to be some certain profile that you take, or you take someone that it just interests you?
I think we'll go dive into the next question. But for me, I think the thing is, I really want to inspire people. That's something that I mean, for from the beginning of my career, that's always what I live for, to inspire people.
Yeah.
Right. So I think when I was crafting this podcast, I was like, why not use this platform to help me inspire more people, and not just inspire them through my story, but use other people's story to inspire them.
Create a platform.
So I think that podcast is just the best platform for that advocacy. So yeah, that was the idea of having this podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, I think something similar to me. I can agree. There is this part of me that I want to get inspired. I want to inspire myself.
Same, yeah.
And then I hope that if I find that inspiration, that others, it will resonate with others as well. And you know what else? For me, with guests, it was like, I would use these guests, or I would go for a consultation with these guests anyways. So I just use the fact that I have a platform, I invite them there.
Yeah.
So I don't have to pay them a consultation. They come, they give me some information, and we both benefit. I get some information that I want to know, and they can spread the word to bigger audiences, and they can reach more
Building
people.
Connections. How many of my guests became my client?
Yeah,
because
networking. It's a huge networking thing.
Yes. So yeah, I think the key takeaway here is when you're starting your own podcast, there should be, I think, a deeper meaning. There should be a bigger reason why you want to start a podcast, not just for clout or becoming famous.
It's something that in one of the last episodes I spoke with Dr. Sheen Garib. She's a podcaster here. She has a podcast, Dream Girl. And she had a really interesting story. Like she studied in Oxford, and she studied like something like medical engineering or something like that. And then now she's podcaster, right? And she said you have to choose a topic that you can talk about 2 hours a day for the rest of your life. So there has to be something that you can talk about all the time. So the podcast, some people are passionate about the business, others fashion and all. And I think inspiration for me is the human stories. And the other name for podcast that I was thinking was human experience, was just someone who's showing what experience they've had on this planet, in a way. Like, and that's why I like books as well. I love memoirs, where people like just tell how their life went, and then and it was tragic, it was funny, it was bad, but it's just another story to connect for other people,
Yeah, I agree. So the next one will be, the benefits of having a podcast. For me, again, we kind of talk about it, connections, but for me, it's just becoming a thought leader. I think having my own podcast elevates my brand to the next level. like I think all of a sudden I became like a thought leader, like so, and then and just again just having your own platform that you're the man, you're the show, and then people are watching you for I don't know for 30 minutes, an hour, getting inspired, getting lessons from you. And the thing is, once see with podcasting, you will not get millions of views. It's not a platform that gets you crazy amount of views, but it would help you inspire and help people learn of this platform. Again, they just need to watch you once, and I think it's easier for them to hook with whatever value they get from you. Right? So that's what I like about podcasting. So I think for me, one of the biggest benefit is becoming a thought leader, and also connections. Yeah, as we discussed.
I want to say connections for me, I guess, is the most, the strongest benefit I felt. I started, and I remember I was thinking, I just want to start. I just want to do, even if no one's listening, if I enjoy doing it, I will do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, at some point, you kind of need that reaction. You want to know, like, is it good, is it bad? And so it's nice to kind of see. But then something else for me really, I don't, how do I say it? Like, kind of transpired, I guess. It was, I just started and I was like, I don't know which, is it going to be lifestyle? Is it going to be inspiration? I'm just going to see. And then over the time, it kind of, the niche or the topic that I really enjoyed and I got the most response, weirdly. The same, like I enjoyed it. I got the best response was all wellness, all like, even spirituality. Like I just had this amazing podcast with this Maria Leonard and I had a session with her. Like, oh my God. And like, I met her because she started following me. I saw her, I was like, that's interesting. I followed her back, started looking at some of the things. And then I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. Yeah. She has, and we had that conversation. And then yesterday I had a session with her and I was like, oh my God, I should have had a session and then had a podcast because there's so much, she has so much knowledge. It's crazy. Anyway, so for me, it actually has helped to identify or kind of realize my, true passion or the topic that I really enjoy. And that is how through wellness get to success. So because you can go very unhealthy, like hustle to get to success. I don't believe in that. I think at the end you have to look back at your body, your spirit, your emotions, and if you can along the way just get to that success but in a healthier way. At least for my conversations, that's where I've kind of reached sort of, I think that's where I want to also continue going. Yeah. What was the question you were saying about the benefits, right?
Benefits.
You know what? Community as well.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Because, like I said at the beginning, I have this small little bubble of friends. And all of a sudden there's this bigger group of people that are not my closest friends, but we still on Instagram, we like each other, we commented on each other, we kind of like support each other. Because I, for example, all the people that I've spoken to, I can see they're trying to figure it out, trying to get, trying to do this, that. And I just love that. And I'm just kind of like always rude, yay, awesome. And they do the same thing for me when I post something. They're like, oh my God, so funny. And it's like, before that, I had few of my like childhood friends or mom friends. They'll be like, yay. But for them, it's a different journey. So I kind of love that I have this group of people who kind of recognize similar process I'm going through. Okay. Maybe they're going through business, for example. I'm going through podcasting, but we can both see that we are trying to reach somewhere, like a destination. And with that I really, really love on a personal level almost. Yeah.
I actually like it. Again, community. Again, with podcasting, you don't have to, you don't need to have a big community. Like again, no. Just start it small, right? Yeah. I have my main account, which I have, lots of followers. Now my podcasting, yes, I have built a small community that watch my podcast regularly, but I would argue that my podcast is actually more valuable than my main account. Right? Even though I have a small following, I feel like because there's so much value in podcasting.
Yeah. You know what? I think for me, it started other way around, sort of, not other way around, because most people like start their brands and start their something, and then podcast is a nice way to kind of elevate their brand. For me, it started as like, I just want to do podcast. And then I was like, actually, I should think about brand, I guess. And I think, and I should think about, and how do I promote it? Should I promote it through podcast, podcast profile or account, let's say on Instagram? And I was like, actually, I want to do my name as a brand, and then podcast is one of the projects that I'm doing. So then that's when I started thinking, okay, I need, and I've never been into like, I want to be an influencer, But I was like, I kind of feel like I need to create this activity on Instagram on the things that that resonate with me, and start doing something that not necessarily has to be podcast related, but like lifestyle, or like, so that my character or my personality comes out. And then through that, I get followers who resonate. Like, oh, she's a young mom. Oh, I'm a young mom. Okay, like, it's annoying sometimes to be a mom. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's you kind of like, you get some of the people who will resonate towards who you are, and then that eventually will lead them to podcast as well. That's my thought process. To be honest,
one thing I want to add is trust. Like building trust from people when you have a podcast, I think it's much easier. Like especially when I'm dealing with, for example, if I get some potential client, I mean, they don't even ask for my portfolio. Sometimes if they see my podcast or if they see the brand collaborations that I do, the trust is automatically in there, right?
Yeah, it gives them idea of what kind of person you are. They're like, oh, okay, he's this and that, and then depending on what they're looking for, I agree. I think it definitely. You know what? I had this lady, personal branding, Robin. She was talking about. She's like, most people are like, oh, I don't want to be like, they don't want to put themselves out there because people will think I'm like, trying to show off or something. And she's like, it's not about that. If you have something to share, visibility is everything. So you need to get out of your like, oh, I don't want to look like I am desperate for attention or something. That was my kind of thing. I was like, oh, like I love doing that, but I don't want to do it myself, that is so. But then at some point when she's like, no, you're doing what you love doing, and you're putting yourself out there, you're being visible. And then Instagram and social media, I think, is a very strong tool to just put in a way, puts part of you out there, and people to let people see. Most people are very closed off. They will put like a picture once in a few months, and they don't want to show, and to be fair, that's also valid because they want to keep everything private, and they maybe being visible is not their goal, or they don't need it. But I will say that there was this marketing thing like years before, that there's this mysticism about celebrities, that they don't show too much. So, and that kind of brings attention, that everyone's like, oh, they're a bit, you don't know about them, but they're very, and now it has changed into, no, like you actually get more followers if you're vulnerable, if you're sharing details about your life that, you've gone through. And I see strength in that as well, to be honest. I really think that if you can almost look at your life and not take it personal, and like there's been some shit moments, and you share them with others, and you're like, well, that happened, and it was not great, but it did. And then that creates a connection as well, because someone else being like, oh my God, I've been hiding that, I've been keeping that a secret, and it turns out it's not that big of a deal, actually, Anyways,
that reminds me of the saying that people buy from people. And people, if you're fake, people could see it.
Vibes.
People could see it instantly.
Straight away.
So people buy from people, and if you have a business, podcasting is a good way to build trust, to elevate your brand. How many times I close a collaboration, a deal with people because of my podcast.
Really?
I just send them a podcast. I just send them. I have also a podcast. Might as well look at it. They don't even have to watch it.
How do you find that business part of the podcasting? And like, I find it really hard.
I think because
it's great that this is what you're saying, like how you can close it. For me is like kind of like, and this is another like psychological thing. You kind of like expect that it's there. I'm here. People approach me, and then it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You need to go and you need to ask.
I think it's a separate topic on its own, business part. I don't know, because I think I've been running my business for almost 2 decades now. Yeah. So I don't know.
You don't have any like kind of like shyness about it. You just go and approach people and just whatever works.
For example, like the lights that I have here, these are sponsored.
Oh.
So when they reach out to me, they reach out because of my main account, because of my photography and filmmaking. And I was dealing with them. They want to sponsor me they would just want to give me one light, Then I was like, guys, I don't need one light. I need a lot of lights. I was like, aside from my Instagram, I showed them my podcasting. You know what? Let me give you one podcast episode. And then when they saw it podcast, I don't even have a lot of followers. I don't even have a lot of views. And then they ended up giving me, I think, six lights, And then, so I managed to close the deal and I got more just because of the podcast. And one of my samples, these cameras, these are sponsored from Canon.
Wow.
These cameras that I see here.
Awesome.
So they given me four cameras, they just give me without any return, asking for return.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait,
no.
Wait, you kind of have to mention or you have to put like logo or something like that, yeah?
No, nothing. No, because I've been supported by Canon for 5 years now. So I've been partnered with them for 5 years now.
Oh, okay.
So when I started my podcast, they just gave me these cameras.
Oh my God.
Just because of the...
Maybe you should be an agent for podcasters.
No.
You can get like deals and brands.
Because they see the value. They see the initiative. They see the... it's not a podcast for just becoming famous or whatever. It's there's a bigger purpose from this podcast. So I think that's why brands love supporting this.
Yeah.
Since the beginning, my first episode, I have sponsors. This chair is actually sponsored by a brand. So I feel like I think again because the initiative, they see the initiative from the get-go, from the start.
Wow.
They see the value from the beginning. So I got a lot of support from different bands.
I'm actually curious, and I don't know if you mentioned that, but maybe we can talk about like, especially if someone's listening and they don't have money, they don't have any tech, but they want to start a podcast, what they should do.
Okay.
And I was just thinking, you start. What would your suggestion be? And then I'll tell you.
That actually aligns to my next question.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is renting studios versus home studio.
Okay.
Okay, right? So because we kind of this is very polarizing. But there's a lot of podcasters that would prefer to rent a studio, but there are also a lot of podcasters that prefer to build their home studio.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So again, there is a contrast between us because you rent a studio.
Yeah.
I have my own studio. So I think it's a good topic to have, so we could say that the pros and cons of renting versus home studio. So for you, why rent a studio?
Okay, so at least the one I rent with Podster, and they give a full how do you say, one-stop. They have a one-stop system, so to speak, where they can take care of everything tech-wise. Yeah. They can, give you the studio, obviously. They can film it. They can do post-production. It's all like if you need to. If you don't, you can choose certain services that you. But when I started, I was like, I don't know anything about tech. I didn't know at the time companies that can provide or facilitate the whole technical support. So when I was looking at it, I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. I will just go. Yeah. They will help me to kind of create this idea or vision that I have, and they will do the technical part. True. But it's more expensive, obviously, because everything costs. If you do everything on your own, then you just spend more time doing it. So for example, I do do the post-production, right? With the edits. To be honest, most of the time it's not a lot of edits because I just like to have a long conversation and the way it is. But then I do have edits for a teaser. So I take out the highlights of a conversation and make it all together. And then they put it together and puts like a teaser for socials and like all that. So it's really helpful, but it costs money. Yeah. So, but I guess home studio also costs money, right? So
convenience. That's one of the main advantage of renting. Now, what are the cons of renting a studio?
Okay, so obviously it's a studio that other people use. So
yes, that's a big one. Yeah, right. Your set is not unique for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not yours.
No. They do try to change some decorations. They try to change lighting and how much they zoom in or zoom out, or how much they use. For example, some podcasts just like close-ups. They won't have a full shot of both guests together. I think you have you have only my shot and your shot, so we don't have a shot of two of us together. So I like that shot, and I requested that I want it, and they said okay, no problem. And then they kind of create your whole brand identity. They help to create it at the beginning. They create a jingle. They create like the colors that you're gonna use. So that really helped because there was like a team that helped, because there's a lot of different things that different people are doing. You know what I mean? And if I would do it on my own, then I would have to reach out to for one person for jingle, for one person, you know, like there would be so many. So it was very convenient that there was a team. But like you said, yes, there's a studio. At the end of the day, it's so many other podcasts have the same studio. Like I had one guest, he was like, "Oh my God, I was in the studio two weeks ago," and I'm like, "No," and then he's like, "It's okay, I have a different shirt, so it's gonna look different." I'm like, "I don't know."
You know what I find cringe? Those podcasts that their podcast background doesn't match to their
identity.
Yeah. For example, like I know someone, his topic is very corporate. Very corporate. You know, the guests are CEOs, managers, and his podcast design is very full of RGB, full of tech. It looks like more of a YouTube kind of setup instead of like a corporate looking, you know, vibe. So that's one thing that I kind of.
Everything aligns. Like I so agree with you that everything, like, you know, the colors, the way the studio looks, your topics, the way you look, everything kind of has to come together. The name and everything. And that's why I said at the beginning, it's so many like questions like of like what identity you want this podcast to have. And it is a piece of you. So you have to ask a lot of questions. Who am I? Like what kind of person am I? But then it's not as authentic as if you would do yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a created studio already. Because they have multiple studios, you can choose, you can look, I don't know, from 8 studios, you can be like, okay, this seems like the most like that I would resonate with and that looks like would make more sense. But at the end of the day, it's less authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But having said that, I strongly believe that you shouldn't focus so much on your aesthetics, on your background, or even your camera, because, for example, Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast in the world, he doesn't care about aesthetics. Like, have you seen his background?
Yeah,
have you seen
it's
just a pure. I don't know. I think
it looks like a man cave. It's kind of, but I think that's the appeal.
He doesn't even use a good camera. I think he's using a 30-year-old camera.
Really?
His camera is very bad. If you look at it, it's very bad.
I'm
telling you, if you look at this camera, very bad. Even the angles, very bad.
I wonder,
he doesn't care about aesthetics, but I think it's the topic,
it's the content,
the conversation, it's the content. I feel like if you're starting a podcast, don't focus so much on aesthetics. Focus on your topics.
You know what? His approach, by the way, is really clever. Not only his, for example, Candace Owens, maybe you know. No, so a lot of podcasters, and this is why they actually are very popular. They jump on any viral or popular topic, and then they reflect on it. So Joe Rogan said, at least this is how I see it. You know, he takes all these popular topics. He takes whatever Trump just said or whatever, you know, Elon Musk just said or something. And he will jump on that topic that's already popular and give his 5 cents sort of like, or be like, oh my God, that's crazy. But it works because there's like millions of men who are like seeing the same things and thinking, this looks weird, but I don't know. Am I making sense? And then he listened to Joe Rogan and let's say he has authority in front of people. They're like, okay, he's saying that too. He's also saying that's weird. Okay, it makes sense with me. And I think that's how he gets so much, because it's almost like this very alternative news platform.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the news platform, but like the news commentary platform. Yeah. So he'll take everything, something from news, something from what happened on Instagram, something where, and he just reflects on that. And also he doesn't oppose his view. He won't say like, this is the way it should be. He's kind of like taking it as like, I think it's weird. Like, you know, like he's not putting any like, he's not preaching anything, so to speak. And I think from a lot of men, actually, they love that nothing's been opposed to them. This is how it should be. And they kind of just like the dudes having a chat. And, you know, and then sometimes there's like, oh, a scientist. And they're all of a sudden talking about, you know, was the moon landing real or not? Like, let's talk about conspiracy theories.
That's so true.
But it's so entertaining. And I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, that's another big sort of genre that people go and they can be very successful because they jump and they attach themselves to a trendy keywords and trending whatever. I just had once, like I had a comment from one of my guests about Elon Musk, and I put that video out and I didn't boost it or anything. It just it was grabbed so quickly, and I realized Elon Musk is such a like hot topic all the time that these videos, they just go in much more. So there is a strategy behind podcasting as well, right?
Got it.
You can talk about very niche things and it's great, but I think if you want to be like huge, it's a very kind of well, I guess you have to build your authority in front of your audience as well, so that your whatever you're saying, they can believe, or they can start an argument with you. Be like, how can you say that? That's and you know, and some people are doing this to get a reaction. They will say something crazy, and then people are like, how can you say that? And then it's like they've got engagement. The engagement's there, and everyone, you know. So, anyways, I don't know what was the question. I've gotten
we're so far from the question, but it's okay. It's okay.
A studio, yeah. That's the studio doesn't matter all the time. Although I will say, aesthetics matter. I think for women specifically, aesthetics matter. Yeah. Maybe for men it's slightly less, and also like podcasts used to be for ears. Like you would put in Spotify, you would not watch them, you would just listen to them, right? And I think Joe Rogan is still very much on listening. Although I love video, like I will watch him or Diary of CEO on YouTube or something. I just love seeing reactions and how they speak.
Yeah, I won't even surprised if I know that Joe Rogan uses a webcam on his podcast. He just doesn't care about quality at all.
No.
It's again, I mean, it also...
But the sound, have you checked the sound? Sounds good. Yeah.
The sound is a priority. Like the sound should be like very good.
Yeah.
But it also helps that you have a celebrity guest, you know.
Of course. I mean, yeah. That's again, that is part of strategy. And this is where it kind of comes in. You kind of, yes, you can do whatever you want to do as a hobby, but if you think about how to grow your brand, how you have to collaborate, you have to look at people who are also, interested in your platform, but then they have some following that might be, so it's a lot of that, which at the beginning I didn't know, for example. So whoever is like thinking, how do you get a lot of, it's a lot to think about to kind of create, some audience,
True. Okay, now it's my turn.
Yes, exactly.
Finally.
Sorry, I've been
Someone's
chatting
taking
around.
over my show. No, it's good. Okay, so the advantage of home studio. So again, I think it's just my advantage because again, I've been in the industry for 2 decades. I accumulated all the equipments. I have sponsors even before I started. So for me, again, I have everything that I need to produce a podcast. So the advantage is, of course, I'm in my comfort zone. Like I'm at home. Like I don't have to book a schedule. I don't have to ask someone to be on the same place, same time. Even my guest is late, it's fine. Come here later, it's fine. With studios, of course you have a certain timings to follow.
Exactly.
And pressure. Imagine the pressure.
Yep.
Inside the studio.
Absolutely.
I was asking my friends like, how do you manage the pressure? Because the thing is, that's the one thing that I don't want to do in my podcast is to limit my conversation with guests.
Yeah.
If you want to talk for 1 hour, let it be.
Yeah.
But of course in studios.
It's like everyone's like, come on, stop. And you're like right in a conversation and you're like, I have to cut it.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes it takes time for people to open up.
Yeah,
and so it's closer to the end.
Anyways. True. Yeah. So and also you don't have to pay. Like, you always have to pay for studios. So
yeah. Well, you had to pay initially for everything, right? The mics, the cameras, the lights. That's like a initial bigger investment, right?
Yeah, I agree. So again, for me, it's much easier for me to produce so much episodes because again, everything's set up.
Yeah.
My guests will just come anytime they want, basically. So that's one of the main advantage of building your home studio. But having said that, there's also so many cons of building your home studio. First of all, of course, investment, right? Like if you would, for example, right now you don't have equipment, right? If you would buy like all the equipment right around, you would spend so much money.
Yeah.
You would spend like these cameras alone. They are expensive.
I know.
The microphones, the recorders, the lights, right? They're very expensive. So again, if you don't have money, of course, renting a studio is a better option. So
it also costs though. Like that's like
it adds up.
It's like a different. I wonder at the end. I think in the end, a home studio will be cheaper because it's a big investment once.
So true.
But then you can do it, like you said, 4 times a day, 20 times, whereas with studio, every time you go, you pay. So you kind of look at, how much you produce at the end, right? But
True.
You do post-production yourself as well, right? So editing and everything.
Everything myself.
Wow.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to add to the cons of having your home studio. The thing is, having equipments is just a small piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, for sure.
How about the learning curve of using the cameras?
Yeah.
You know, lighting is very hard. It's not. It's, people think that they just turn on the light and that's it. No, it's hard as well.
Yep.
Audio. You know what's funny? I want you to look at my first episode and look at this episode. Look at the difference. You know, when I started with podcast, I already have maybe like 18 years of experience. But when I started with podcast, I had to learn so much again for podcasting. So it's not like because you have experience using cameras, it doesn't mean that you will make all of a sudden a great, good-looking podcast. No. It took me a while. It took me a lot of learning curve just to learn the podcasting aspect itself. Yeah. So how about like learning, I don't know, the cameras, the settings, you know, editing. Oh my God.
God.
There's so much things to learn. The learning curve is insane.
No, you're one-man show. You're trying to be an orchestra, you know, you're trying to do all things together. It's a lot multitasking, right?
Yes, and
it's
hosting,
crazy.
Crafting the questions, planning, I don't know, engaging on social media. There's so many things that I've been doing all by myself.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a huge tap in the back, crafting this much episodes.
Have you thought about having a team, like having someone like kind of assisting?
I mean, if I'm earning enough to pay them, why not? You know. But the thing is, again, my podcasting is not my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I still have my business, my photography, videography business. So for me, this is just my side hustle.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing a very bright future with this podcast. You know, it might not take a year or two. You know, it could take me 5 years, 10 years. But again, who knows? This reminded me of the Diary of the CEO podcast. Oh, sorry, what's that?
Diary of CEO.
Yes.
Yeah.
I look at his older
at
videos.
The beginning.
He started at the bottom.
I've done it.
He's not like Joe Rogan with already.
He started on his own.
He started on his own.
Yeah.
And now he's I don't know. He's one of the biggest podcasts.
Second biggest.
After
Joe
right?
Rogan. Yep.
So I was like, I really admire that guy because he started from it. It resonates to myself, for us, right?
And I think his recipe was, first of all, I think he really likes doing it. But the second is is really strong in strategy and marketing and everything. So he managed to kind of, and I can see also like, because I follow him and I kind of try to figure out what they're doing. They're posting these videos in a certain times and certain keywords, and like there's been a lot of also I've read that basically they have a topic and they look what topic is trending, and then what keywords, what questions should he ask to the guest that they can later cut out and put in as a short, and that will read. So there's so many things, and that's why I say like I keep saying strategy, because before I never thought strategy. I was just like, I'm just gonna do it, but then at some point you're like, you need to elevate your game, and then this is what is really necessary.
Yeah. So again, you've seen the progress. Like again, same as me. You look at my first episode. You've seen the journey, the progress.
Yeah.
Like I started from the bottom as well. So again, that's the advantage of having a connection as well. Some people have a really easier route to fame because again they have a good background. So I like seeing this kind of people, like from rags to riches, I think.
yeah. So anyway, so you were talking about cons for the house studio. So you're saying that just the fact that you're doing everything yourself is sort of a con as well. It can be great in one way, but then can be
Yes, it's the learning curve. Like if you're starting from scratch, like here for example, if you don't know, if you don't have any knowledge about cameras, about anything, it would take you years.
Yeah.
It's not like buying cameras right now and then in 1 week you're good to go now.
No.
You need help.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Again, that's my advantage. That's my heads up because again I have like decades of experience before I jump into podcasting.
Yeah.
So if you have, I don't know, if you're a lot of my content creators, photographers with experience with equipments, you can get away by building your own. It's fine because you have the experience. But if you don't have, go to studios.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing of concept I want to add to renting a podcast studio is I think if you're a beginner, I could imagine like if you're a beginner, you don't have enough experience or even the confidence, like what would it be like to be in a studio with random people that you never met, and with pressure of the time and everything, like that might be very, very hard, just
the pressure of time in a way. Yes,
you're a beginner. Like
the thing is, I was not a beginner because I had been in front of camera.
Yeah.
So when I sat down, and the first time I went there, I was just doing an intro. It was just talking a little bit about myself, why I'm doing this podcast, and all that. And I had a teleprompter. No, I did it. Yeah, I did. I had a. I didn't feel. I felt okay. Like I just look at it as this is what I'm doing. They get people one after another. But of course, at the beginning, someone's coming in and they're gonna now listen to what I'm talking about, and like it's a bit weird. But I just switch that off, and I'm just going for it. But I agree, if you do it for the first time,
imagine
it's so overwhelming because you kind of like don't want to get it wrong, and you're like you don't know how you're gonna sound, and that's the thing, like you said, compared to the beginning and now, it's this for me, like the setup hasn't changed, right? But like the beginning was, I was just like and like word salad and like asking questions, like my poor guests there, they had to like listen to me define a question for like a minute, like using so many extra words because I was so nervous, and I could energetically I could feel I was just being a bit too like kind of and then and this is trial and error, like literally having a podcast and probably any other project is trial and error. You try something, it did work, it didn't work, you try something else, that might be good. And that is something, and I will tell you one thing that I promised myself, that before I started podcast, I was dreading to be cringy. I was like, because I've seen some people starting and I'm like, they look so cringe. They're trying to this and that. Even like some people who are trying to be inspirational, and them, like I know personally them. And I'm like, dude, like this is just like, Jay Shetty, edition 2. You've just said it's like, I've heard it before, right? So I was like, and then I heard something and I was thinking to myself, that if you want to start anything, just prepare to be cringy. Like you have to prepare that at the beginning you're gonna be cringe because it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be great at the beginning. And you kind of, and that this is my mindset that I kind of went in. I was like, you know what? If people are gonna think that this is lame, this is cringy, I'm fine with that. I'm okay, because for me, all of a sudden, like the goal of starting something was bigger than the fear of being cringe. I was like, it's better to be this, but at least I have, started something. And then, yes, you kind of look back and you're like, and sometimes like for girls, maybe it's more like makeup, for example. You're like, oh my God, I look so pale. I look so good in it. But because in camera, it looks different. You need more of everything. I don't know, for men, maybe it's slightly different. But like I've noticed like, oh my God, I need to do this, and the other.
Like
but like one thing, you know what, mindset wise, there's one thing that people can take off, and most of the time they just don't want to look like idiots in front of camera. They don't want to start what I'm going to say. What if I sound stupid? What if people don't agree with me? All these questions, like what will people think of me? That is the main fear, at least I had. And I think a lot of people don't start because they're like, I will look like an idiot and people will laugh about me and it's going to be. And then there is this moment, at least for me, it's like, yes, imagine they will laugh. Like you kind of sit down and think about of this worst scenario, that people are laughing at you, that you feel cringy, that everything's and think about, can you live with that for a little bit? And then the answer is like, yes, you can. You actually can live with a little bit of cringe, because first of all, at that point, you're just doing your best, and that should be for you like the fuel that brings you further. It's not great, it's not perfect, but it's work in progress. And being kind of a little bit in there already, it's just like you said, like Diary CEO, like in my podcast, it kind of gets better and better, at least for me. And it's still not even close to what it should be. But
Yeah. So I really like the advice that you gave. But one advice that I could give to someone that is very fresh, beginner, is I think just start with your phone.
Yes,
start with your
and
phone,
YouTube.
Get a good microphone and start filming at home.
Yeah.
You don't have to rent a studio. You don't have to buy the equipment. So, you have everything on your phone. There's so many things you could do with your phone.
Totally.
Start with your phone.
Sit in front of the window where the light comes. You'll have a good light.
Again, it's building confidence as well, right?
And that's what you just said as well. That's the thing. You kind of like, I don't have a good camera, that's why I can't start. I don't have money because I don't. No. The reality is mindset. It's like literally like, I'm just gonna take my phone out. I have topic in my head or a story or like adversity that I've gone through and now I feel much better.
Yeah.
Just tell that story. Like look at TikTok. So many people just go viral by talking about their craziest things. Like, and it's just people are like, wow, okay. And they use their phone.
Yeah,
right.
True. And again, never compare yourself who's beginning to someone who have decades of experience, right?
Yeah,
right.
And you know what else? Actually, this is something I also took from Dr. Sheen Garib when I spoke to her. She said people who are doing something, who are also hustling, trying, they will never say, "Oh, don't do it." They will always say, "Yeah, go for it. Great, great, great." People who secretly kind of know that they're not doing what they should be doing. They not that they hate, they secretly just can't stand that you're going for something. And I've had few people where up to this day, like we've been always close friends, but they just haven't said, "Oh, great that you're doing something new." They just don't come like, and it makes me so, I'm like, is it that bad that you can't even say like, wow, great that you're doing something? And I realize I think it's just for them uncomfortable to see that I'm doing something new.
So
you know?
they hate something that you have that they wish that they have. Right?
Maybe not necessarily that exact thing, but they just see that someone is going for it, trying, starting. And I think that maybe they might be scared of their own dreams and them saying, it depends how you look at things. You can look at it as, oh my God, that person inspires me to start doing something. And then other people are like, oh, why is she doing, like, it's so stupid. Like, it's like, and deep down, it's actually, they just can't stand that someone else, So always listen to people who are cheering you up and saying, start, you won't have any listeners. Fine. I'll be your one listener. Like, I don't care. Like because at the end of the day, it's about being brave and just going for it, Sorry.
True.
Inspirational quotes. Woo! Just got really like...
Have I answered your previous question?
About the homeschool.
Yeah?
No.
What was the question again?
It was the home setup, right? Like if you had the cons about doing all yourself, but you said then you can actually start with the phone if you don't have money, which is true. I completely agree with you. That's why I said at the end, or the beginning is your mindset to be like, how do I say? I don't want to curse, but basically, like, screw it. I'm gonna do it, and then take my phone and gonna start talking.
So I answered your question.
Yeah, you kind of did. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, we got a few questions left. Are you good? Enjoying? I actually like this. I like this conversation. Like, there's so much value in this conversation that we're having right now. I think, this is something that, if you're starting a podcast, this is the first thing you should watch. It's very rare to have these episodes that tailored for beginners. Yeah. There's a lot of podcasters, they always aim for the viral ones, for the bigger ones. So, but for me, I believe that it's good to produce this kind of like a tailored for beginners.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like it's a very helpful for these people.
Totally.
So okay. Next is crafting topics. Like, how do we craft our topics?
Oh, okay. I usually have some interests of my own.
Okay.
You know what? It kind of go. I sometimes at the beginning, specifically, I was like, "What should I talk about?" Like, it's kind of like, oh, and it kind of is from one side, what do I want to talk about, and then the other is like what people might want to hear. And I've realized that it works better if I talk about what I would like to hear. Like, that's why I started. And I remember I was like, oh, maybe I should talk about how people succeeded in business and became millionaires and all that. And I had one of those conversations and they were good and it was great. But I don't think for me that spoke to me directly, to my heart, so to speak. For me, I realize it is more about inner self, about mindset, about spirituality, about wellness, about what you eat, what's your environment like. So it's all about creating really nice environment. Anyway, so how do I craft topics? Honestly, like just one by one. And also it's for example, I'm very passionate about how do I say it, about humanitarian help. So whenever I see someone who is helping others, so for example, I've just interviewed 2 weeks ago these psychotherapists who came together and created a company, or rather like humanitarian company who works for who goes to Egypt to help Gaza refugees, kids and teachers.
Yes.
So they go to these schools and they help them. For me, when I see someone doing something good for others, I love that. Like because there's and one of the psychotherapists, she's a psychologist, she's a Palestinian herself. So it's her personal story, and through that personal story, she kind of describes what she's doing about it. Instead of, oh my God, I feel so helpless, so stuck, I can't help. She just like, right, okay, what can we do? Boom, boom, boom. Created this. It's not so fast. She said it was really difficult to start it, but then people start, joining in. They love like a good cause is something that for me, I love it. And I love people who are helping others. So even if you're a feng shui consultant, you're helping someone create a house that's going to maybe be energetically nicer, or you are, I don't know, musician even, like who's helping people with just to feel good. So for me, I guess the main craft is, if you say, how to craft a topic, is to look for people who I find interesting in what they're doing. And if there's a goodness in what they're doing towards others.
Good. For me, when I started, of course, I mean, my podcast title is Jruzz Inspires. So I always look for inspiring stories. So any people with, inspiring stories, right?
Yeah.
But then eventually I ran out of potential guests, because I think it's not. This one thing that I realized through experience is not everyone have a very inspiring journey. Not everyone, but there's a lot of people that have knowledge. So now recently I'm starting to incorporate educational topics. So I try to mix inspirational topics and then educational topics. So this episode right now, I consider it educational topic. And I find that educational topics are actually more. I get more interactions, more views, more comments from actually educational, because who doesn't want free knowledge,
advice?
Right?
Exactly. And like have a self-help movement is huge as well. If you can scroll some shorts and all of a sudden someone tells you like, you've been having a sugary breakfast all your life, and actually that's really bad for your insulin, and so start to, and then you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like if I want to live better, like, okay, you press on it, and then it's like this nutritionist tells you all these things, these little hacks that you can change and your life will be better. Love that. And it's inspirational as well. It's like part inspirational and educational together. I agree.
And I'm adding one more genre, which is entertainment.
Yes.
So I have a musician coming next week, which we will be performing music. So I'm experimenting. But also, I mean, I don't know. That person might have an inspirational background or whatever, right? So
exactly.
Again, we don't know, right? So for me, I'm trying to mix this kind of topics. Right,
and it's interesting, like you said, inspirational, because some people are not. They don't want to share, for example, their stories. They're like, why are you asking about my life? Like they don't want to, and it's fair. You don't want to talk about.
Yeah, and sometimes it feels forced if you invited a guest and they know that they don't have a very inspirational background, and you're trying to I don't know, to make them inspirational person.
No,
it doesn't work that way, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
So you have to also be smart in inviting guests, which leads to my next question, which is choosing guests. I remember we kind of talked about this during our Zoom session. So choosing guests, right? This is something that is not easy, because you don't want to invite just random people.
And you have to do a little bit of due diligence, actually, especially after they start reaching out to you. You have to look if they're some are self-proclaimed helpers or of some sort, and you're like, there has to. At the beginning, I guess no one cares, but you need to make sure that people that you invite, that they are credible. I think
number one.
Yeah,
you have to be credible.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, especially on educational. That's why I don't know if it's necessarily educational, because I'm not a podcast coach, for example, right? But we just share experience and our opinion on how podcasts should be run. But sometimes, especially when it comes to coach and mindsets, there's a lot of coaches now who are talking about different mindset things and all that. I will say every coach that's been in my podcast have been great, and they've given me real value to what they say. But I've had a lot of people who kind of reach out, and I'm kind of like, and I just kind of, no, I put it on because it doesn't feel like legit. You know what I mean? That for me, that.
Got it, yeah.
But yeah, the way I choose people is like if the topic resonates, if there's something that I think that what they will say or their knowledge will help my audience, I will go for it. Like I was kind of like on the fence about spirituality. Should I go in that? Like I love spirituality, but I was kind of like, oh, not everyone agrees with it. There's different religions. So it's a topic of like yes, no, yes, no. But then I was like, you know what? I'm interested in that. So again, it's like not to please anyone. So I think another thing is, I don't want to please anyone. I want to focus on what I'm interested in. And if there will be people who don't like it and they will despair, there will be other people who like it and appear, right? So for me, that's that. What about you?
So when you're looking at someone that's credible, again, we talk about this, don't look at their numbers. Social media numbers, right?
They are not always.
Not always.
No.
Don't look at someone's number and look at, they're credible because they have so many followers. No, that's a huge red flag. My God.
That's a PR tool for most people. And look, and I've looked into that as well. And I've tried, one is like my topics and then the other is like, okay, I'll do a little bit of strategy. So I'll go for people who have bigger numbers and see if that works. And they honestly have really good conversations and they're actually professionals in there. But they've inflated their numbers.
Yes, I agree.
And if you look at, and even that is not an indicator, because if you look at some of their engagement and some of the posts, you will see that someone who has millions of views and then millions of followers, the engagement is so low that to a degree that you're like, well, how can it be that low? But then at some point, all of a sudden on one day, there will be like this huge wave of likes for this podcast and like 200 comments that are all the same. And then you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's paid. Like it's a paid one. And I think for them, social media is a tool to promote their business or promote their, motivational speaker name and all that. And so I've had quite a bit of people who come. But then and that's why I said sometimes people with smaller numbers have actually much better communities because they're real. And these communities are like, they see you and they're like, oh, she's talking about wellness. And this person, let's say, is in wellness. Okay, I'll follow her because I like to learn about wellness.
Yeah.
So it can be tricky sometimes, to look at these numbers. Yeah. They might not be right.
Yeah, in my podcast alone, my most successful episodes are the ones from people with small following, small people. They're the ones who give the most organic reach, organic interaction, and organic story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And in fact, I'm not sure if I should say this, but the guests in my podcast that have the most amount of followers, they actually get the lowest views. Always.
I have a very similar thing, and I'm just kind of like, what is that?
What's going on?
I don't get it. Yeah. No, I mean, I sometimes think maybe there's something about algorithms, something about, but you know what? For me, that also was like, that showed me the business side of like influencers and like, you can look like an influencer with like so many likes and all that, but how much of that is real? But maybe it doesn't matter if it's real because they're getting brand deals, they're getting like, motivational speaker like kind of positions on events. So I don't know. Maybe it's sometimes like fake it till you make it type of thing, like you kind of like boost your whatever followers. People are, she must be legit. Okay, I'll start inviting. And then from whatever she starts doing, the likes and everything goes up. And that was my idea as well. I was like, maybe I should do that. And I tried to work with one agency that said organic growth. And I was like, oh yeah, I'd love, because they kind of push. And it wasn't organic growth. It was like paid bots. And I was like, oh, just stop doing that. Like, I'm just like, I see like, oh, new followers. And I look and I'm like, these are like clearly not real. And I just messaged them like, stop sending these robots my way, and every now and then it's still coming. And I hate that.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I have guests with millions of followers. And first 1 week, that episode got, I think, 25 views.
Yeah.
So you're telling me you have millions of followers and you cannot give at least, I don't know, 500 people that would watch your episode? Like,
That's so weird. And like,
So
it's
weird.
almost like unreal. You're like, no way. Like, there's got to be something wrong with Instagram. But then you're like, no, it's
also that reflects on how valuable you are to your audience.
Yeah.
Because there's some creators that, they're funny, they're posting viral content, but they're not as valuable to their audience, right? Because the thing for me, my content is very valuable for some people. So they watch my content. They watch because they want to learn. They're learning. They're getting inspired. But some people, they just post rubbish, random stuff on their channel and they go viral. So again, it reflects on how valuable they are for the audience. So if you're looking for potential guests, don't look for numbers, credibility. Look at their background. Be careful. You know? So and one thing that I wanna share, because I'm not sure if you have the experience, because I have experienced people that are willing to pay to be a guest. That's something that you have to very, very be careful. Right?
Exactly.
Because of course, and it's good to get paid, right? Because we're doing something for free. It's good to get paid from time to time, but you also have to be, of course, be careful.
I think you have to be very careful not to sound salesy. Like the moment I see someone's trying to promote someone, I'm just like, I can see that it's like, let's create this like very breezy conversation, and it's like very breezy mentioning like your products and like or something like that, and I'm just. Although at the same time, like I see the biggest part, like Stephen Bartlett as well. He is promoting some of the stuff that I think is part of like he's an investor in some. But every time I like scroll past it, like it's just. I know that podcasters has to earn money somehow, right? Yes. Like, and it's normal to have it, but it has to be aligned with your values and your values with your podcast. So if you're going for wellness like I do, and then all of a sudden like you're, I don't know, promoting Coca-Cola or like alcohol or something, that just doesn't go together. Even as much as they pay, you lose credibility actually. Because you're like, well, who are you standing? Like, what are you standing for?
Don't let them dictate the topic or the conversation. Right. So one thing that so for example, like I did a sponsored post a few episodes ago, and then when they gave me the product, they also gave me like a spec sheet of what to mention during the episode. I was like, no, that's not this podcast is not a sales kind of platform, right? This is giving value to the audience. So I got the product, and then I give my basically my personal view or review about this product. I will not read a script that's sent by the company. I will basically tell them what is my view of this product.
I haven't had paid episodes, but I am in talks with people that you kind of brand the whole episode for them. Well, for example, like you kind of talk with an airline and you talk about traveling or some sort of like topic where it makes sense, and also I think transparency is a big one. You say like this is sponsored by this company, and they are all about traveling and seeing the world, and that's why we're going to have that topic. And I love that it's not like you're not bullshitting me, you're not trying to like kind of very quietly put it in, but you're just upfront about I'm being paid for it, and actually I love that conversation or that topic anyway. So
one thing I've learned from this podcast is you will find the most credible people also based on how they introduce themselves. Okay.
On so for Instagram, me, like you mean?
Anywhere, email, Instagram. So for example, if someone introduces themselves and on their first message, for example, they mentioned, I don't know, all the awards and shit, like accomplishments. That's something for me. That's a red flag. If the first message is about their, I don't know, their accomplishments, their awards, whatsoever, for me that's a red flag. For me, what I love is when they send me a message and they give me what value they could give to my podcast, to my audience. That's what I like about people that's randomly reaching out to me. So if they reach out to me and then mention about awards, achieving whatever, it's a red flag.
Awards are also a scam. You can buy them. It's so crazy.
Awards. You could buy awards.
It's just like that's the thing. Like especially if you've been in a business side of things and you understand that PR. There's so many PR tools. Yes, exactly. You need awards. You need like a good following so that you look credible. Blah, blah, blah. Then afterwards you're like, okay, these awards. Okay, maybe they're real, but you've paid for it for them to be. there's a big, I'm not saying every award is like paid, but a lot of them, especially in corporate world, 100%. And I've seen in Dubai.
I've been in the industry for 2 decades. I never won a single award.
You have to pay for it.
Exactly.
You put yourself
but
forward.
For me, my awards are the people that I inspired. That's always my reward. For whatever I do, if I inspire even one person, I just need one person to be inspired of what I do. That's it. That's my award. That's what I always say. That's why I don't crave for having awards. To be honest,
maybe it has to be. Maybe there has to be like a organically made, like where it's not a jury that kind of gives the awards, but it's like people. So let's say you put like 20 podcasts and then you have like, I don't know, 100,000 people and they have to vote. And then that could be a nice thing where it's very transparent. And I think transparency is something like a big word this year as well, because a lot of things like politicians and everything, it's kind of like you feel like it's not transparent and you kind of feel like they're keeping us or people that you look at, you expect them to be authentic, transparent, so that you trust them. At the end of the day, the trust is that's the way it's built.
And I believe that if you're very credible, you don't have to say anything, to be honest. Right? You don't have to introduce yourself. I mean, that's actually the best thing. That's the best feeling in the world, that you got into the moment that you don't even have to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
That's the best thing in the world. That's why for me, even on stage, if you watch someone on stage and then they introduce themselves and they mention about accomplishments, awards. Again, I for me, it's something that is hard for me to.
No, me neither. It's just like kind of. That is, there's a line, I guess, between like, okay, make yourself visible, say, this is what I can offer you. This is a value that I can give to your life. Sure. And it makes sense. And then it's like, right, okay, cool. But then when it's like, oh, I'm this and that and this, and it's like, okay, like a little bit self-centered, a little bit kind of, look how great I am kind of thing.
Yes, whenever I introduce myself, I even in my profile, it's written above my profile, is I inspire people through my stories and photographs. So that's what I always say when I go on stage on whatever. I inspire people through my stories and photographs. Yep. That's it.
Yep, exactly.
I don't have to mention so many accomplishments. Very clear, right? Again, it's the value that you give to people. What value would you expect or get from you?
Are these all pictures behind you? They're yours? They are beautiful.
It's very random, huh?
I was like, I see them. You talk and I see those birds there and the Burj Khalifa, and I'm like,
again, this managed to inspire some people. You know how many people became a photographer, became a content creator? I have some friends who started as someone who's earning 1,000 dirhams. 2,000 dirhams. Now they're earning so much money because they managed to transform their lives, because they learned from me. They changed their work whatsoever. So again, inspiring people through my stories and photographs.
I love that.
I have one more question. Last question. I know it's been quite a while, but I think it's very good.
Very good.
You don't even notice the.
No, that's been a time capsule.
That's what I like about having an extrovert guest as well. Okay, last question is funny or worst moments.
Let me think. Okay, I had once.
Okay.
You know what? Most of the time, the people who are tech people, they have to cut me off because the conversation is just so flowing great. But one time, it was not flowing at all. Really? It was just kind of, I was literally in my head thinking, I have no other questions, and it's been 20 minutes, and I'm just kind of like, whoa. Because that person was not open, but like few sentences. That's it. And I was like, oh my God, I was hoping he would talk now for and then it's like kind of, okay. And then like trying to kind of like push like a little bit out more, and you can see the person doesn't want to go there. Yeah. And then also, you know what? That was the only person who I realized that had fallen out of love of what he's doing. He was kind of like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm earning money. This is, like I know who I do, but I don't get the buzz anymore. And I was like, oh, you kind of expect being like, oh my God, I love it, the passion and everything. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about something else now. And I'm like, what is it? I'm not ready to tell. And I'm like, oh man, what are we going to talk about? Like what you're doing is not something you kind of really love. Yeah. But what you are planning to do, you're not ready to tell. And I'm like, this is a pickle here. We're going to... Yeah. Anyway, so we kind of... And then he started asking questions to me because I think he realized that I was like kind of right. Oh. Yeah. And anyway, so that it was still an hour-long conversation, but it was... I remember I went home and I said to my husband, I was like, this was the first one where I was like really sweating there because I was like, I was thinking of finishing it early but I didn't want to, it felt disrespectful to the guest that I can't think of, but I kind of was like, what else is, But anyways, that was sort of the worst.
Yeah.
And I think the best one was the one I mentioned recently, the psychotherapist that created this humanitarian movement, and they went to Egypt and they helped all these kids. And I said, can you share some real, stories? Oh my God. The stories they shared were so painful, but so powerful because they managed to change the pain. Like they managed to transform that pain from those children into something that they can live with or can like process through. I was in tears for so many times, and I said, if I start crying, the gates will be open. I won't be able to ask any more questions. So for me, like the whole day afterwards, I felt like I did something meaningful. I felt like it hasn't aired yet. So I think once it's aired, it's going to be one of the testaments of what people are doing for people that's gone like through really bad like situations, like bad in a way where you're talking about a girl who was taken out of rubble, and her dad and two brothers died, and she and her mom escaped, and she was in a shock, and she's 4 years old, and they're talking all about that, and I'm just kind of listening, and then they tell how they helped that little girl. And I have a 4-year-old girl, so for me it was just like such a resonating moment, and I was, so that's the best moment. That's where I feel like I've done something really meaningful. So I think those are the best ones. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
Actually, I wanna ask a question, follow up to what you said about questions. Okay, when asking your questions, do you write your questions or you? Yeah. Okay.
I don't.
That's actually what I'm going for, because the thing is, at the beginning I was writing questions.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is it takes away from the natural flow of the conversation.
No.
It just ruins the flow.
Oh, I hate this question answer. No,
it feels like
it's so
like
stiff.
It feels like having interrogation session in the police station. Exactly, that's how it felt.
Totally
like,
the same.
Oh my God,
I really don't like it. I trust myself that, and you know what? In real life, I'm actually the same. I'm like, when I start talking to someone, I try to not be nosy, but I could talk with whoever. I've realized that whoever I talk with, if they want to talk, and I sometimes feel like, especially not on podcasts, but like some people are kind of like, I can see they don't want to talk, and I'm like, I try to sense the vibe as well. But if people are open.
Yeah,
I can ask and ask and ask. And usually, and some of my guests says, oh my God, I love that it's not pre-prepared and that they say something and something like stucks into my, and I'm like, wait, can you go back? Like, why did you go study law if you're this, if you're that? And then afterwards, this guest is like, oh my God, you kind of, the fact that you notice these small little things and then you go back to them. That I've had a good feedback on that actually. Yeah.
By the way, you see me right now with questions, but the thing is, this is educational content. So this is something that So it's basically I have to nail the questions because again, this is educational. I want to make sure that I take everything. But if you want to get the story, the natural the storytelling from someone. Don't write the questions.
And also the intro, like you did like just as you are, you just started. For me, I still need to do it. Actually, I need to do that the way you do it. But I have a big intro where I talked and I read from teleprompter. But talking about, I don't have questions, but I have segments.
Yes,
I have 3 big segments that I tell my guests. I have first segment is personal, second is professional, and third one is philosophical. So it's PPP, and it's all about. So we always start about their life, their background, where they come from. Then it's how this life led them to their profession that they're doing. And the third one is how they're helping people and how they're changing other people's lives, which I kind of love as well.
It also is part of having storytelling skills. What we're doing is basically storytelling as well. Even though we ask questions, but still storytelling.
There has to be some concept at the end of the day.
Structure, right?
Structure, yeah.
I remember I was invited to a podcast. I won't name it, but that host asked me a bunch of questions, but also almost all of them not related to each other. Those questions are just random from I don't know, just he asked me from my work experience. Then after a while, he asked me about I don't know my love life. They asked me about Instagram, about photography. What?
Yeah.
I was like, I never felt the natural flow of the conversation.
No.
It doesn't sound so organic.
It's different. It's kind of like a quiz, right?
Yeah,
Like they kind
true.
of like, what about this? And then
True.
it's like one answer. And I know some podcasters are doing that. Like they will have a conversation, then it'll be like, okay, now we have questions, random questions, and you just answer yes or no. And sometimes it's interesting as well when you kind of like, because there's topics that you don't want to go too deep, but you'd like to know, especially with celebrities. Like, do you wash your hair every day? Like, no, every other day because it's bad for you. Anyway, so it's like these smaller things that you don't need to create a huge conversation. But I agree. If the whole podcast is random questions, it's not. At the end of the day, podcast is about a chat, it's not a news interview where we're sitting down and then there's, like there has to be like back and forth. Because when I was in TV, that is something that I had to like really learn to not give my input, just ask questions.
Yeah.
And I actually struggled because I had my own opinions as well. But you as a sort of a journalist, you have to be very neutral.
Yeah.
Whereas podcast is all about opinions. Like, yes, I think that. You disagree with me, fine. You agree with me, great. Okay. And we move on, you know?
I actually tell this to my workshops because I conduct workshops as well about content creation. You can disagree, whatever, because you came from the proper media background, right?
Yeah.
I always say that social media or internet is a revolution from the traditional media, right? From TV, from radio, Instagram or social media. You could do anything you want.
Yep.
There's no rules. You're basically your own rules, right? You don't have to follow anything compared to the traditional media. There's script. There's director, there's producer.
Yeah, there's
right?
much more frame how you need to be, how you need to act, how you need to look, and all these things.
That's why when I suggest if you're content creating or even podcasting, don't try to make it look like a traditional media.
Yeah.
Don't make it look like that you're a TV reporter.
Yeah,
don't make
exactly.
it look like that you're a radio host. It's not gonna. It's different.
It's different. Exactly.
Again, social media is a different platform.
It has to be more casual.
More casual, yes.
That it has to be more real. And whereas in TV, there is this almost like expected, polished version of you. And whereas here it's like and I think that's why people resonate, because you want to see the true real person behind the face.
That's what I like about you, because again, I know a lot of newscasters who actually suffered from transitioning to social media because they still follow the same stiffness, the same flow. But with you, I was surprised actually when you mentioned that you have a proper media background. I was like, seriously, because you look very natural on social media.
That's I actually struggled with the polishness.
Yeah, it's a struggle, right?
I was then. I remember there were my colleagues who were much more. They had a rhythm. They were very kind of. And I was like all over the place a little bit. But I was a lot. I was on live reporting, so I would be there, and whatever I say goes, because there's no time to repeat or try to do it better. And I kind of like. I notice when someone's being like very,
I noticed too.
My mom's like that actually. So she's like, "Hello, everyone," and it's like, "Why? It's just like normal." And she's just kind of like, trying to be very. But it's a thing, because I sometimes when I look at some videos myself, I can see as well. I was like, okay, why are you like acting? It's a bit more than you are. But I think it's a human thing. We kind of try to say smarter words when we're there's other people think that we're smart and intelligent, and then we're trying to act like we're always fine and all good. So anyways, and I think social media, and sometimes it's okay. It's kind of like a thing you expect from other people to be positive when you meet them. And then there's people that are like, my life sucks, and you're like, okay, I didn't ask you, but fine, tell me.
Okay, my turn. Okay, funny moment. Funny and sad. Actually, very, very. One of my worst experience is I've recorded an entire episode, if I remember correctly, 45 minutes.
Was not recorded.
Oh my
God.
Imagine we filmed a whole freaking episode. And it was a great episode. It was funny. It was amazing. We filmed it first time. And after the episode, we actually hugged each other because it was very emotional. It became very, I was like, and then I looked back at this camera. I got the biggest shock of my life. It wasn't recording.
Oh my God.
The camera of the guest wasn't recording.
Oh my God. Yeah,
I
actually, that's the
literally-
worst because if guest at least is, then you can just be in a background
I
sound,
literally
right?
broke down and cry. Seriously.
Oh
I
my
literally
God.
broke. I went to the room, checked the card, if it's recorded, but deep inside, I know it wasn't recorded. I was like, I was crying, to
I
be
can
honest.
imagine.
45 minutes. Imagine. So what happened was that guy went to my room. I was like, Jay, what's going on? What's happening? I was like, I was just crying. I was like, bro, what's going on? I was like, bro, the camera wasn't recording. I was like, it was like, oh my God. Of course, it was, it was painful. But the good thing about my guest, because he saw me sobbing, he saw me crying, and then he asked me, Jay, let's do it again. Let's do it all over again. I dedicated my time for you. Let's do it all over again.
Yeah.
So he became very supportive and sports about what happened. So we recorded everything again. But also it came to be one of the cringiest conversations because again we had to repeat the same question. We had the same reactions, same jokes.
Yeah.
And we were just laughing at it. We were just saying that, I've heard this question again. I feel like I've heard this question before. It's like that's the same reaction. We just laughed through it. We just laughed. We just laughed for whatever happened. So it's like it became the cringiest episode, but also it became funny as well because again, I was like, oh my God, so bad. So bad. But again, it became a huge lesson. That's one of the reasons why I had this TV.
That you see that it's recording now.
Yes,
yeah?
and if you notice, I always look on my left because I always want to. And also this, you notice this?
Remind this dumbass recording.
Also, how many times I forgot to record the audio? It's recording. It's recording. Oh my God, I'm telling you. So again, it's part of the learning curve that I mentioned to you. So if you decide to build your home podcast, you have to learn this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You will learn only through basically trial and error.
Right? and I think, exactly. And I think once you figure out a topic you want to talk about, right now is the easiest ways on Instagram. And some people who are really smart, they will go on Instagram and be like, okay, I don't know, I'm interested in astrology, whatever. Astrologers Dubai. And you'll get people. And you just DM them. And most of them are like, all right, why not? They will. So it's actually quite easy to start, but I think you have to figure out what exactly you want to do.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to mention my best podcast episode. So I've done a lot of great episodes. I could name so many good episodes. One thing that stood out the most is there's one guest. His name is Ace. So basically, I invited him because he went on a journey. Basically a battle with his mom. So his mom went through series of operation.
Okay.
So his mom went to hospital. I think for like 2-3 years. They've been through so many battles. Like the operation, also expenses. They went through so many, and a lot of people supported them. Imagine how costly it is to be in a hospital.
Yeah.
For that, and they experienced for years. So it's
Dubai.
basically in Dubai.
Yeah.
It's basically a story of how they managed to basically survive the operation. How they managed
illness.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a very very emotional moment, and that's one of the few episodes that I literally cried and broke down during the episode.
Oh my God.
I couldn't stand hearing the stories because, again, the things that they went through, the things that they have to go through just to survive the medication, the hospital bills and everything. And
Absolutely.
it was an amazing episode. Then that's not the best thing that happened. After a few months, his mom actually passed away.
Really?
So imagine after all the things that they went through for years, after a few months, his mom passed away. But I feel like my podcast episode became, I don't know how to say it. Like, when people are sick, sometimes they just need to feel something or to hear something for the people that they love, and
that
then
they're
they find
special.
peace. Yes, they find peace, and then they find the comfort, and then once they feel that, they are basically ready to let go.
Yeah.
Right. And even on the episode, he told me on the episode, like, he talked to his mom and he said, "Mom, if you're ready to let go, let me know. Let me know." if you're ready to let go, let me know.
Goosebumps.
You know, and then and then I was like, after that moment, I was like, I feel like my podcast became a platform for basically for him to deliver whatever he wanted to say to his mother. You know, and of course his mother hearing the stories, you know, and I feel like because of that episode, you know, she find peace and eventually, like, I don't know.
But we all want to feel special, right? And imagine of a mother listening to her son describe and talk about how, you know, because that's the thing about like caring, you know, you when you feel someone care for you, I feel like you feel loved and you feel special. And especially you can see that your, you know, kid is really kind of, how do I say, really focused on you and your health and getting you better. Or if you're ready to let go, just tell me. So there's this unconditional love, right? That's kind of, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's sad, but it's. I mean, you managed to capture that, right? Yes. Like that moment before,
a few months before. I was like, wow. You know, my platform became a bridge to send that message, or for him to tell the whole story. Yeah. Because he haven't told the story to his followers, his friends. It's years of battle through, you know, everything. So that's the episode that he basically said the whole story.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so that's what happened. And
I need to go listen to it, to be honest, because my mom's had a health issues as well. So, and it's like, I mean, and it's like, it's years as well. And it's something that no one knows what it is. But I mean, we try everything and it kind of seems like it might get better. But for a while, you kind of don't know. And it's this years of not knowing which way it's going to go, you know? And I can imagine, I really feel for the guy. Because,
I'll send you the link. But, that was good. Yeah. That was good. Oh my God. Is there anything you want to add? I think we just spent 1 hour, 30 minutes.
Oh my God. Actually,
it was amazing.
I have to go pick up my
kid. It was amazing,
school.
Right? So
I loved it. I can't believe it's an hour and 30 minutes. Like, I just feel like it just went really fast.
Okay. Paula, thank you so much. You know, I've managed to learn so much from you, believe it or not. You know, I've learned so much from you. And you managed to inspire me as well.
I love it.
And I hope we actually can inspire a lot of aspiring podcasters.
And chemistry was there. Yeah, that's important, by the way.
Chemistry. You know, both you put two extroverts on the same table. You know, you get special things. So thank you so much, Paula. Thanks. And support Paula's podcast, also my podcast. And see you on the next one, people. So
see ya.
Thank you so much.
Bye.